Good afternoon, Scott Redler, T3 Live. Welcome to today's recap. It's Tuesday of this holiday week, and it's getting close to Thanksgiving, which is definitely one of my favorite holidays. You got to look forward to Thanksgiving. You get your family, you get your friends, you get to eat. Hopefully, you do it guilt-free. What I do is I take an hour-and-a-half spin class. It's called the Turkey Bowl or the Turkey Spin, early in the morning, so then I get to eat whatever I want the rest of the day and drink. I tend to drink here and there. But anyway, so with that being said, a lot of people are starting to travel, and there's definitely a little less volume, but there's still some action. There's still some things going on. And today, I would say there was spots to make some money, but there really wasn't a heck of a lot to do. So let's just go through some charts. You go to the spiders. I feel like I keep trying to, show you the chart and show you what you could have done and how you could have maneuvered, and from the V bottom to breaking the 200-day to the upside, and to your gap and go for power, to then when it cleared, this level even. I remember this day right here. This was the first time I think from the lows I went home short, and I had to cover pretty quick. And this day kind of was horrendous for me. It was definitely one of my bigger losses, but it could have been worse. I could have been short here, added to my short, 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 and you know what? Probably would have covered there, but I didn't do that. I was wrong, so I covered right there. Probably got long versus short, and then participated with the rally versus fighting the rally and being miserable, like some of the guys out there that you could tell pretty much from Twitter. And then lo and behold, let's just get to where we are now. Today we had a little bit of a doji. Okay, what does a doji mean? A doji means a little lack of momentum. Could potentially mean digestion, or it could potentially mean stalling. At this point, I'm not sure which one. I actually took a little bit more spiders short than I've had the past few nights, just because I just feel like tomorrow might be down a little bit, but I think that it's not going to be like falling apart. We've been riding the 8 day, so I don't think much changes unless we get a close below this, and I don't think that happens, throughout the holiday or before the holiday, but we could see some kind of, I guess, unless some kind of event happens. So anyway, I am short some spiders, and you have a low here of, what is this? This is the XPX 2064. We could have another inside day on this quiet holiday week, or maybe trade below this and test the 8 day, or test Friday's gap up, which we weren't able to do, which is closer to 2056, and we shall see. I know today I came in, I was like, you know what, maybe the IWM breaks above a key momentum level, and it didn't. Doesn't mean it's game over. It doesn't mean short everything. It just means that, it wasn't able to break out yet from where it came from 4 sessions ago when it bottomed and reversed at 114, to even yesterday, reverse, gave you a nice move. So for it to do a doji today, instead of closing on the highs, doesn't mean that it's a place that you have to ignore and just blindly short. It just means that it might settle in here a little bit before potentially going again, or if it trades below this, this would be something that I think would need to hold. But again, 21 day has been the spot where the reversal happened. So still, from the red dog reversal lows to all the way up here, just wasn't ready to go. And I think many people sell strength anyway. So if you were long overnight because it closed strong yesterday, you probably sold some, and then when it went red, you got flat, and now you get to figure it out. The Qs, little doji close. All the bears are claiming victory. Like, oh yeah, look at that, you guys are a bunch of chasers. Meanwhile, look where you are on the Qs. Your first doji close in a little bit. Last time you had one right here, it amounted to almost nothing. So we'll see what happens here. Still above the 8 day, still above Friday's gap, still above the 21 day. Very, very, very strong. Doesn't look like it's short unless you're trying to be cute, as we're still above the 8 day, trending really well. As far as stocks, okay, so in the morning call we focused on a few stocks, and Apple was gapping up, and people were like, oh, do we buy Apple here if we're not in it? And I was like, no. You've missed your setups in Apple. Not a place to be a buyer. Even if it continues to go, there's really no setup, and it's extended. So if you look at Apple today, I think it did my media 100-time rule. I think 100 different times people talked about its $700 billion valuation. This was trend number 1 from the 7-for-1 split. Here was your consolidation. Then you had your gap up after earnings. Then a nice move here. This was your last real setup that we talked about. Now the question is, can we get a pullback? Okay, so with that being said, this has been the trend since the gap up after earnings, where it got extended from the 8-day and then came in and went. Here, this topping tail, which this was out of sequence, this was a print that was a little weird. So, it wasn't as pronounced as it looks. And then you've had like red bar, green bar, red light, almost like that game, red light, green light, 1, 2, 3. But anyway, if you came in long today, or if you were looking for a short, and guys on the virtual trade floor actually made money short this. Yes, momentum traders are allowed to make money short. No matter what people out there want to have people think, we do like to short if the market is conducive for shorts. So anyway, if you were looking for a Q trade that was overbought, that had a huge screaming high RSI, here it was, opened up. When it traded back below 118.77, that was your short trigger versus the high. High was 119.75, so still about 70-cent risk. But you know what? It came all the way down and closed at 117.60. So if you shorted it at 118.77, you made $1, and you probably should have a little bit overnight. For me, I wasn't in it. On the close, I nibbled a little bit just to have small, but I do think maybe we'll see what happens tomorrow around the slow. If this trend follows suit, it seems as if you're not going to get too much time to buy it, although it would be really nice to have it touch the 8-day. That would mean a few more days of downside, which would probably mean a little bit more of a pullback in the market. We shall see. First potential, not an outside day, didn't close below the prior low, but a day to sell some strength and figure it out. Because I do remember, I actually went tier 2 here, wrote it out, and I sold on this day. But you know what? I tried to be a little perfect, and I didn't buy it back, and I missed this move. We've had some really good trades on the VTF with this stock from here to about here, and then I was able to actually let it go sideways and positioned right, I think, on this day, and then added on this day, sold on this day, trailed it to then, but then I haven't been in it since. So you don't want to be out of it if you're not going to get back in it, but at this particular point, a little bit of a reversal, so you have to respect that. Google lost money again today. Second day in a row I tried it where it looked as if potentially there was a trade here. Potentially you had this descending channel. Tried to break above yesterday, couldn't work. Today tried even a little bit more, didn't work. Where did it close? It closed actually at it didn't close so horrendous. I just got out of the way, and I guess for me, I don't like trading laggards, and this is somewhat of a laggard. It's trying to break this small descending channel here. I guess I'll wait, or I'm just going to leave it alone. It's below all the moving average. It's a laggard. There's no real power here, And to be honest, we were talking about it on the chat room. As far as the business is concerned, just thinking, out loud. iPhone is killing the Droid. You have search out there where there's a lot of different search engines now. You also have Facebook search, which I think people are actually using besides Google search, and yeah, you have Yahoo. And then, as far as their business making money-wise, there's a lot of different ways to spend on advertising. So perhaps they are in a little bit of a growth slowdown. So I know it's not a high valuation stock, so there's not that much to be excited about there. I was in Vegas on the trade show. I tried the Google glasses, and it's never going to be mainstream until they change. I was trying to look through the side. I was like cross-eyed, looking funny, and I'm not walking around with $1,500 Google glasses looking cross-eyed and funny. I don't think anyone else would like to do that either. So anyway, as far as, so fundamentally, exciting-wise, I don't see anything so great. Plus, they split 2 for 1. They didn't do something smart. They should have split probably 5 for 1, 6 for 1. Remember, I hate to say Baidu. Baidu split 10 for 1. Not saying it's the sole reason why it's acted so well since, but do you really think if Baidu didn't split 10 for 1 that it would be 2,444 right now? There's not a shot, and you know what, that this would be up here acting so well if it didn't split 10 for 1, multiple years ago, and make it easy for traders to trade it, to buy it, to feel comfortable for what has been a historic move. So when people were debating about Apple, when Apple did this split here, which I was calling for last year, this changed the whole perspective or complexion of the stock, because now down here, 85, people don't mind buying a few thousand shares because it can go to 100 and they can make good money, or obviously above it. Even hedge funds, I don't care how big they think they are, it was hard to buy a $500-600 stock with any kind of size, and then you had the option guys that were able to pin it whenever they wanted. So this split on top of a buyback on top of some new products is what, brought it to historic highs. So, and that's what I was talking about in my, actually my 2014 thesis or 2013 thesis. And then when it happened, tried to stick to my guns, and now it's been a move, and it's very elevated here. So you got to be a little careful. So other things. You know what? Today, Facebook was a pleasant surprise. All right. Do I know whether or not it's game back on? I'm not sure, but it showed me something different today. It woke up above this small descending channel here, and I know when it went above 74 half-ish, that's when I got involved in the stock. I also bought some options. I bought some January 17, 77 and a half, thinking if it gets into this gap, maybe buy it here, gets there, sell some 80s, do a call spread, and let it go. But as of right now, kind of in the game again. Traders love when this is in the game. It's nice when it's there, especially. You saw a little volume today, so that's nice for this stock. And it actually was able to do it by itself without Twitter. Twitter, not really strong. So when Twitter was negative, it didn't really affect Facebook, which is kind of good. Let it trade on its own. And then this still is weaker, I guess. Still hasn't broken down. So at some point, perhaps this could wake up also above 40, 50, so keep it on the radar. But today was a Facebook day, and you were able to even buy some dips and trade it, and it worked out pretty well. Still very close to the highs. There's a lot of money in this. Talked about this bigger trend that was intact, that has been better to buy than sell ever since down here, and as of now, looks like it's trying to hold again. Remember this cup and handle pattern? If you Google Scott Redler, cup and handle, Facebook, Jim Cramer, when it was right in here, I said Facebook can go back to highs, and highs was there. But you didn't have to know that. You had to have the gap, pro gap, and then look what happened ever since with lots of trades along the way. So anyway, let's remove the volume. Looks better. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. If it opens down, maybe it goes from red to green. If it opens up, take a little bit off, because your next little price point here is 76.80, and then you have a gap. We'll see what happens there. Some guys made a little bit of money in G-Pro today. G-Pro, on an intermediate level, I think it's broken. On an active level, there are some trades. This was the last time it broke out before breaking right here. And then it looked as if you were going to get another move, and then it failed on that offering. But then, once it got out of the, down to the lower end of the range again, you had a red dog reversal yesterday. So some took it long on that and got paid overnight. Then you had a small trade into the gap. So at this point, still, not that compelling, but there are some things to do intraday if you actively trade. It's at the bottom end of the range. Actively, nice day and a half trade on an intermediate level, needs time. Tesla kind of did the same thing on an intermediate level, kind of broken, but on an active level, if you went long with this RDR here, you got a little bit of follow through, not a heck of a lot. This was the last time it tried before failing, but now it's sort of making its way again. It's been pretty hard to trade ever since it broke this upper level, and since here, I guess you could even draw this one more time. It's kind of held that, held it here, another retest. So it just needs time. It's just not the same way it was way back here when you had, a blockbuster move. But actually, if you look at it like this now, from where it broke out from, this longer term trend, is it intact? Yeah, pretty intact. Just can't be as fast and furious as some other times. So you just have to adjust. As far as the metals, I'm back in gold and silver, and I hate gold and silver because most of the moves happen overnight. But a few things got me back in. One, you look at the GDX, and the GDX that I like when it leads. You had that move off the lows, and it just, it kind of led today, reversed, closed on its highs. You had silver, which I'm also in. I got back involved near the close. It's been battered and bruised and crushed. First trade in silver was down here when it ignited, and now it's trying to trend, and do think you get some kind of gap fill, which will be a decent trade. If it's up at all overnight and not a trap, which sometimes the metals are a trap, and that would be annoying going into Thanksgiving week. I do think you get this gap fill, and and not saying it's going to get back up here, but it's got some room. It's got some room if it wants to bounce. Look where this thing was way back when. I remember when guys were fighting this at the pain trade when it went parabolic. Remember this weekly parabolic move? Woo! Guys got their teeth blown out. And then from there, it's just been a mess. So perhaps we get a little bit of a trade down here since we're not caught in the mess, and then some. And then you look at the GLDs. As far as this trade, we caught a nice little trade when it ignited. It was, what, 2 Fridays ago? And then it's pretty much held it since, getting tight again. So perhaps you get another trade. If you want to draw a downtrend here, there's some room to perhaps 118-ish. So there's a little bit of room left. I would hate to see this gap down and be a trap tomorrow. If it is, it is. But you can't trade. If this was a normal stock, I would be in it, and I'd be a little more confident than being in what I'm in now for overnight, but we'll see what happens. It feels like there's a little bit left in there for one more trade upwards. Hate to wait for that last one more trade, but we'll see what happens. Oil, what's it called, hit the, looked as if it was trying to bounce, and this trend that's been lower for the majority of this year. You look at the USOs, broke its trend here, broke its accelerated trend there. Now back on the lows. It's below recent support, which it couldn't get back above. It's below all the moving averages, so oil deserves to be lower. Tried to give you a little mini bounce. If you trade a counter trend rally, you better be on your toes when it fails. And yesterday you had a little red dog reversal here, and then which is above a prior high, come below it, and then today wide range bar right through the low. So obviously if this is going to happen, the laggard groups like in XLE, if you've been trying to milk something out of it, today was your day. You had your first wide range bar to get out of it, especially if you were in it since the lows. And then you have some kind of support here. If this were to break this, you could see more downside follow through. OAHs, which still is below every moving average, which was never able to get out of this lower range. People are saying, all this is one big bear flag, where here's your pull, here's your consolidation working off this down move, and then at some point this trades below this, and if it does, I think the market will notice. But even though I think people have accepted the fact that this group's been below the 200-day moving average since September, and it doesn't have that much of an effect on strong groups like retail, that when oil's down, retail goes. And boy, has it gone. And at this point, I would say do not chase retail up here. It's extended from the 8-day. Today you had your first pone down move. I talked about that on Fox. I said it could be a little bit of a buy the rumor, sell the news. And today you had a down day, almost an outside day. Opened up, took out the prior high, took out the prior low. So that means perhaps you could get a move to the 8-day, which it's been riding. So when things are that extended from the 8-day, you trim and trail. If you're looking for a cute short, maybe you got short when it went back below this prior high here, and that was 89.30. So with all that said, tomorrow's Wednesday, the last day, the big travel day. The weather's going to be a little bit crazy tomorrow, I think. Well, not that crazy, but whatever. Going into wherever it is you have to go. So make sure you travel early, be safe. Tomorrow we'll be here with Brittany, and we'll do a morning call. We'll see what's going on. I'll probably have a quick recap before the market closes because I have to head home myself. I have a lot of family coming in. It's Thanksgiving. I love that. I love this holiday. Very excited about it. I'll get more into that tomorrow. Maybe I'll even give you my recipe, which I've been making for a while, which definitely I think is pretty good. Pretty good. Well, anyway, I got to catch a ferry. Hope you had a decent day. Don't do too much. Don't overtrade. Don't chase. Don't get caught. Stay strategic and tune out the noise. See you tomorrow morning.